from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Bringing you the news from Sri Lanka and across the world, this is the national news broadcast on Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. My name is Siobhan Pereira.
And I'm Hishan Ali. Let's have a look at the headlines first.
Plans to take maximum benefits from the development opportunities in the Indian Maritime Zone. The President's visit to India has received the attention of the global media. The life of Elephant Akbar in jeopardy due to flocking of crowds. European tourists arrive in Sri Lanka to escape hot climates. 3 persons killed in Agresta as a tree collapses. High temperatures in the Western world breaks records.
Minister of Foreign Affairs Ali Sabri says President Ranil Wickremesinghe is desiring to make the most of the development opportunities in the Indian Ocean region, which is the world's largest emerging economic region.
And addressing a media briefing at the Presidential Media Center, the minister further said that the government or the president will not act in a manner detrimental to the well-being of the country. As a result of the Indian tour of President Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Indo-Lanka Economic Partnership Agreement was declared yesterday. The vision of the partnership was elaborated on 5 fields including relationship and marine affairs, air travel, power and energy and electricity, as well as trade and economic and financial relations and relations between persons. The bilateral agreement was disclosed after discussion between President Ranil Wickremesinghe and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. 5 relevant agreements have also been signed on this occasion, and Foreign Minister Ali Sabri at the media briefing had explained on new tendencies in Indo-Lanka
the whole
relations.
discussion centered around economic cooperation between the 2 countries. The idea is both countries and all of us believe that there is a huge opportunity for the whole region to grow into economic power. It is accepted norm in the world that 2/3 of the growth during the next 2 to 3 decades will come from the Asia-Pacific region. So with that, there is a huge opportunity presented for all of us to cash on and uplift the living standard of our countries. So in doing so, rather than stand alone, it's important that we work as a team. That's how the European Union had developed as a region. The Middle East has developed as a region. The North Americans have developed as a region. The East Asian countries like tiger economies have, ASEAN countries have developed as a region. And mainland China, such a huge country, developed as a region. So the net worth of growth could happen and propel in South Asia. So we want to work together through cooperation, understanding, joint ventures, particularly with India and the southern Indian region. In order to do that, we need to put the people-to-people contact. So we decided putting people-to-people connectivity is very, very important. As a first step, we thought that we must have more frequencies on air. Secondly, we thought that we should have ferry services. Thirdly, on the long run, we also thought we must at least have a feasible study done in order to looking at the long-term connectivity through either road or through the ferry services where other than some other countries that have done on port and off port, where you come on a vehicle, get into a barge or with your vehicle and go there. Most of the countries are doing it. So that depends on the feasibility on the long run. For that, I think we should start that. We should start negotiations on that, studies on that, and probably we must consult everybody in this country and to the parliament whether we should go ahead with it and what are the economic benefits for both countries. So many countries have done that. So we are looking at that. So connectivity is very important part of this discussion. Secondly, how to get the maximum support for our economic development in the country. We also thank His Excellency the President, thank the Indian government and the Prime Minister for the support during the crucial stage of Sri Lankan economy last year, during which they supported us with about 4 billion worth of credit line. And also their support was crucial at the IMF. And going forward, it's also important for us to get the debt restructured. So we continue to work with them in order to get that done so that we can move on with a new economy and take the bankrupt tag out of our economy. So we discussed that, and thereafter there are many areas of interest. Together we discussed tourism, air connectivity, sea connectivity, education cooperation, digitalization cooperation, dairy sector cooperation, health sector cooperation, cultural cooperation, and also to support the view of to uplift the living standard of our upcountry Tamil community of Indian origin who are completing 200 years of their stay here in Sri Lanka. So in order to propel that growth, it was also discussed that Indians will invest about 750 million Indian rupees during the next year or two in order to support that upliftment. And we also wanted the feasibility of establishing some Indian universities in Sri Lanka. So it will provide opportunities for the Sri Lankan students to study and also to make Sri Lanka a regional hub for education. Then of course, we also discussed the sensitive issue of fisheries issues, particularly Minister Douglas Devananda also was part of the delegation. We discussed the matter about the bottom trawling of the Indian fishermen. We explained the gravity of that and the danger it goes to the fishing life. And then we wanted to avoid that at any cost. We need to discuss that further. We also, his President also took up the request that allowing innocent passage to the Sri Lankan fishermen to pass the Indian territory and go into the Arabian and the Mid Sea for long-term fishing. So those discussions were taken in. It was agreed that our joint working groups must meet each other and identify this.
Minister, you already have FTA with India, and the ECTA is expansion of FTA. Now this has been spoken for a long time, more than 10 years. What is the difference between that and now?
Yeah. Basically, the one which is existing is only covering a limited number of products, so it can go forward. So basically the idea is, now we also want to join the RCEP. So we told them, so with the free trade agreements, there are opportunities. Of course, there are challenges also, so we need to open up that. So the idea is, our business community also must take part in this, discuss this, and see whether it could be mutually beneficial. And until and unless our products are competitive in the world market, we will never be able to establish an export-oriented economy. If you only look at the local market, we'll never establish that export-oriented economy. So in order to do that, we need to get the proper advice, both from economists as well as practically the business community. So it's all those things have to be done by all of them, the expert. Not that the politicians can only say that this is our desire, this is what our end result is. But the modalities we can discuss. But the idea is to provide a greater cooperation between the countries and have access for both sides to greater markets, both in the region and outside the region. Our economy in 1993, 31% of our exports were, GDP was economy, the exports. Today it has come down to 13.5%. So where are we now? So we need to be open for competitiveness. We need to compete. That's how we can create an export-oriented economy. Otherwise, just because we say that we want to do it, we are not going to do it. So that's why these opportunities should be explored. It doesn't mean that we want them to go blindfolded and get into this. You must discuss it, analyze it, and do the right thing which is beneficial for both countries.
Foreign Minister, one more follow-up question with regard to the tourism is that you mentioned about digital connectivity, and as we are already aware that Indian rupee has already been designated currency here in Sri Lanka. Now on the ground, what exactly is the likely timeline that an Indian tourist will come and will be able to spend his Indian rupee and it will be readily accepted by a local trader here or any supermarket here, and associated UPI also to be linked with this?
Yeah, I think that's a very important question. Discussions were centered around that, how to kind of hasten it, fasten it. Hopefully, we feel that the UPI process will take another 3 months or so. Toward the end of the year, if we can have that position, that would be ideal. And there was some misnomer about the whole thing. This is not we are forcing anybody to forcefully deal with the Indian currency, taking everything out of it. So you can continue to work with the currencies you are working anyway. But Indian currency will be designated as a designated currency. So now what happens is, if an Indian want to come, if only dollar is accepted, he has to take his rupee, go to convert to dollar, then he come to Sri Lanka, convert to Sri Lankan rupee, and then he comes back again, and he has Sri Lankan rupees, he had nothing to do. He had to again convert it to dollars. Then he had to go to his country again, convert it to Indian. So it totally doesn't make sense. Banks and the third parties are making money. So this is happening all over the world now. People are looking at dealing with their own currencies. So this is a very positive thing, we feel. You can't compare this with Russian thing because they have spent so much of money in the Russians, and Russians have nothing to do with the dollars. In our case, the other way around. We import so much. So any amount of Indian currency coming into the country is beneficial for Sri Lanka, rather than we taking that into dollars and then transfer that into Indian rupee and then send it to them. So it's good. It's good. Sri Lanka's advantage because we have a trade imbalance in favor of India. So more Indian currency is coming into us. We can settle that Indian currency in Indian currency without converting into dollar and then to Indian currency. It's good for Sri Lanka. So I saw a misleading article about this. This is going to be harmful for us and we must learn from the Russian experience. No, Russian experience is different to Sri Lankan experience. Russian experience, Russia exports so much of crude. They have so much of Indian rupee, they have nothing to do with the Indian rupee. Our case is the other way around. We import so much of Indian goods, we need more and more Indian currency. So more Indian people coming here, spending on the Indian currency is good for us to settle the Indian trade.
Indian as well as global media have turned attention on the Indian tour of President Ranil Wickremesinghe.
And the talks are basically centered on the Indo-Lanka economic vision and proposals pertaining to coordination of transport between the two countries. The Hindu newspaper, which is one of the leading media sources, has published several detailed reports on the tour of the Sri Lankan president. The reports were basically centered upon the projects to connect India and Sri Lanka, as well as on the regional transactions on the Indian rupee. The websites of Hindustan Times and Times of India have also given wide coverage on the issue. Similarly, private television channels such as NDTV and Times, as well as the Indian National Television, Doordarshan, have also published reports on the new outlook of the Indo-Sri Lanka relations. Among the global media groups, Al Jazeera, Voice of America, Associated Press and BBC have also presented analysis and the outcome of the Sri Lankan president's Indian tour. These reports have primarily focused attention on the proposal to connect India and Sri Lanka through roadway.
3 persons were killed when a tree fell on them in the Amalagoda junction in Akurassa, Matara. 2 other persons injured in the incident have been hospitalized. A tree near a vehicle repairing center at the Amalagoda junction had fallen suddenly. One of the victims died on the spot, and the other 2 have succumbed to their injuries after admission to a hospital. The injured patients have been transferred to the Karapitiya Teaching Hospital from the Akurassa District Hospital. The tree fell due to strong winds. Many houses were damaged due to strong winds in the Uva Paranagama Divisional Secretariat. More than 30 acres of land in the Gamarammana Hill in Kapitipola Valibanda have been destroyed by a fire. The efforts of the residents of Kapitipola and the police station to douse the fire have not become successful. Around 10 acres of land was destroyed in a fire in the Niyandagala near the Valimada Base Hospital. Existing dry weather conditions as well as the windy situation have also paved the way for rapid spread of the fire in the Vallavaya mountain area, ultimately destroying around 50 acres of foreign land. A fire has erupted in a shrub near the Milapitiya Gallant Soldier Memorial in Kandy, destroying 10 acres of land. Our correspondent says strong winds have affected controlling the fire. The police suspect that a person or a group of people may have set fire to the forest.
Moving on, the Consumer Affairs Authority was engaged in a special inspection of shops there in the Colombo Fort today. And the aim was to detect commodity items of which prices were changed and items of which date of expiry has elapsed. The authority has focused special attention on places where people gather in large numbers. The general public have been enlightened on food security as well as on stipulated prices of food items. Canteen at the Pera Central Bus Stand and nearby boutiques have been subjected to special inspection. Measures have been taken to file court action against 5 shops for failing to display prices, changing prices to mislead the consumers, and for selling food items of which date of expiry have exceeded. President of the Sri Lanka Poultry Entrepreneurs Association, Ajit Gunasekara, have commented on the existing shortage of eggs in the market at a media briefing in Colombo today. President of Sri Lanka Poultry Entrepreneurs Association Ajit Gunasekara said that they have come into an agreement to have a maximum retail price of 55 rupees for an egg. He also said that some errant groups go to supermarkets and purchase eggs and sell them in their shops for 60 rupees. This practice will have to be stopped through government intervention. Presently, there is a shortage of eggs in supermarkets.
Final rites of the creator of the world-famous brand of Sri Lankan tea, Dilma, Meril J. Fernando, has taken place at the cemetery of the Church of St. Mary's, Palansena, Negombo today.
I am Meril J. Fernando, the founder of Dilma Tea.
Meril J. Fernando has earned international acclamation as the producer of reputed Sri Lankan tea. The well-known Dilma brand of tea has become extremely popular in more than 100 countries. Fernando was 93 years old at the time of his demise. He was born in Kochikade, Negombo, and received secondary education at Maristella College, Negombo, and at St. Joseph's College, Maradana. Due to his intense interest in the tea industry, he had commenced his professional life as a tea taster. He came forward in the business world, overcoming numerous challenges. His ultimate aim to bring the brand name of popular Sri Lankan tea to the international community has been successful. Meril J. Fernando has commenced his career in the tea industry in 1962. By the year 1988, Dilma Tea had become world famous and won the international market. Many foreign media identified him as the father of the tea industry. He had brought much needed foreign exchange to the country and helped develop the local economy. He also played an active role in enhancing social welfare of the people. In this connection, his contributions to uplift the condition of children with special needs suffering from the Down syndrome disease could be termed as noteworthy. The services conducted through Meril J. Fernando centers in Batiklo, Rajagiriya and Moratua have been appreciated by many. The remains of Meril J. Fernando were buried at St. Mary's Church after a service.
And in the meantime, chief incumbent of the Ganga Rama Viharya, Colombo Venerable Kirinde Assaji Thera says it is a fact to be accepted without any prejudice that the present state of the country is at a relatively conducive level. The Venerable Thera has made these remarks participating in an event held in connection with the completion of 1 year of Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena assuming duties in the post of Prime Minister. The event has taken place at the Prime Minister's office. Many religious observances have been conducted to extend blessings to Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena. In parallel to this event, planting of saplings has taken place at the premises of the Prime Minister's office, and the Mahasangha MPs and ministers have also graced the occasion. The Mahasangha has expressed their gratitude to the Prime Minister for extending direct contributions to develop the country.
Deputy Leader of the United National Party, Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, says President Ranil Wickremesinghe has been successful in diverting the collapsed economy of the country on a correct path. He further points out that some people are trying to prevent the forward march of the country. Akhila Viraj Karyavasam, addressing the Galagedara electorate meeting of the UNP, further said that a leader with exceptional abilities is today steering the country. He is taking the best decisions in the interest of the future of the country. However, some bankrupt groups are striving to derail the state of affairs.
පාරට බස්සනවා විවිධ දේවල් කිය මිනිස්සු අවුස්සනවා වෘත්තීය සමිති අවුස්සනවා විශ්වවිද්‍යාල ශිෂ්‍යෝ අවුස්සනවා මේ වගේ දැවැන්ත වෙනස්කම් කරන්න පුළුවන් එකම නායකයා අද පුටුවේ ඉඳගෙන තියෙනවා වෙන එක්කෙනෙකුටත් පුළුවන් ද මේ වගේ එඩිතර බය නැතුව තීන්දුව తీරන ටික ගන්න කොන්දක් තියෙනවා තරුණ නායකයෙකුටවත් තීන්දුව తీරන ටික බය නැතුව ගන්නවා රටට අවශ්‍ය තීන්දුව తీරන ටික ගන්නවා රටට මොකද්ද අනාගතේ වෙන්න ඕන තීන්දුව తీරන ටික ගන්න. එතකොට මේ වගේ එල්ලිලා දේශපාලනය කරන්න හදනවා බංකොලොත් දේශපාලනය.
Parliamentarian Upul Mahendra Rajapaksa has organised the Attanagal electorate meeting of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna today. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that he does not blame Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who like Mahinda Rajapaksa rescued people at the war. The COVID hospital was built through the funds of the Podujana Peramuna. He added that 6 of the persons who set fire to his house have been killed in underworld wars. He said that Mother Nature had punished them. The Dambadeni electorate meeting of the SLPP was held in Alawa under the leadership of State Minister Shantha Bandara. World Brain Day is celebrated globally on the 22nd of July every year.
And a message issued by the Sri Lanka Neurological Specialist Physicians Association in connection with the World Brain Day has reiterated the need not to leave anyone behind and that everyone gets the help and consideration they require to keep their brains functioning at the very best.
So should be made accessible to these people so that they could travel anywhere that they wish to. Otherwise, we know as of now, they might have difficulties in transporting and getting themselves into places that they wish to go, especially the recreation activities and also for their daily needs. For these individuals who come for public services in the public places, we should allow them to use the accessible ways, whereas like the wheelchair access or any other way that we could help them. Also to give them priority in a priority lane if they are to be stayed in a queue.
Meanwhile, those who engage in activities in the tourist sector say somewhat revival in the tourism industry has been witnessed at present, and the new developments are especially visible in the tourist zones. The Polonnaruwa Harbour area is also having more tourists these days, and it has been pointed out that many tourists are arriving in Sri Lanka to escape from the harsh, hot climatic conditions, especially in Europe. These visitors are attracted by the mild weather patterns in the island. These tourists are also receiving tremendous pleasure by watching the cultural and national splendors as well as the enchanting environment. They are eager to have a knowledge on various aspects of Sri Lankan culture. Due to the conducive conditions prevailing in the tourism sector, many direct and indirect employment opportunities have been created. The tourists visiting Haparana have been accorded and the opportunity to witness many places of attractions, including a traditional village.
Ayobon, we are in Sri Lanka with 21 people and we're having a great time here. The culture and the people are very nice and the food is delicious. And I want everyone to come to Sri Lanka and just have a great time here. Yes! Woo! Bye!
We are on vacation here and it's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's great. All the nature is beautiful.
You made a beautiful hat from a lady.
And we saw some birds. Beautiful.
The tourism industry officials request the support of all concerned for the well-being of the industry. And in the meantime, the groups engaged in treating the elephant Agbo are confronted with the big problem of the arrival of visitors. The main reason being the animal getting upset seeing the big crowds. Agbo was injured due to setting off of a firearm. So far, more than 16 rounds of treatments have been provided on the tusker. These treatments methods are being carried out since the 12th of this month. Wildlife Department officials as well as veterinarians have been acting with great dedication in treating the elephant for a period of more than 1 month. Somewhat healing in the foot wounds has been witnessed. The crowd's obstruction have imposed mental pressure on the medical officials as well as who have been working without a break. Head of the veterinary unit of the Wildlife Department, Dr. Tharaka Prasad, said that the animal does not have any rest these days. The animal is unaware that people are coming to photograph it, but their presence is a tremendous harassment to the animal. Now it is staying in an area with a reservoir, and the elephant is trying to move on to other area with a reservoir in order to evade the crowds. This is not a proper condition for treatment. Therefore, the physician requests the people not to come to watch the elephant.
Another phase of the dengue control, a project titled Dengo, implemented by the national television, got underway in Ratmalana recently. The Dengo program is scheduled to be implemented island-wide in the next 6 months.
The national project on controlling the spread of dengue mosquito conducted by the national television with the assistance of the National Dengue Control Unit and the Mortin Company is dedicated towards creating a tomorrow without a dengue mosquito. Under the program, special attention has been focused to enlighten officials in places such as bus depots where there is a higher propensity on the proliferation of dengue mosquitoes. A program in this connection was held recently at the lecture hall of the National Dengue Control Unit in Narayanpeta.
And with that, we go into a short break. We'll be right back after this.
வெளிநாட்டிலிருந்து பணத்தை மக்கள் வங்கிக்கு அனுப்பி வாராந்தம் 1 லட்சம் ரூபாய், மாதாந்தம் 1 மில்லியன் ரூபாய், ஆண்டிறுதியில் மாபெரும் சீட்டெழுப்பில் 1 கோடி ரூபாயினை வெல்லுங்கள். பீப்பிள்ஸ் ரெமிட்டன்ஸ் கோடி அதிர்ஷ்டம். நேரடியாக அனுப்புங்கள், பெரும் வெற்றி காணுங்கள்.
Welcome back after the break, and on news away from home, we have a series of climate records on temperature, ocean heat and Antarctic sea ice have alarmed some scientists who say their speed and timing is unprecedented. The United Nations say that dangerous heat waves in Europe could break further records. It is hard to immediately link these events to climate change because weather and oceans are so complex. Studies are underway, but scientists already fear some worst-case scenarios are unfolding. Science lecturer Dr. Paulo Seppi says the Earth is in uncharted territory now due to global warming.
කට්ටමී ෆන් තමයි.
One of Sri Lanka's frontline batsmen, Lahiru Thirimanne, has decided to bid farewell to international cricket. He has expressed his decision by making a post on his Facebook.
33-year-old Lahiru Thirimanne has played in 44 test matches, 127 one-day matches and 26 T20 matches. He has also registered 3 test centuries, 10 test half-centuries, 4 one-day international centuries as well as 20 one-day half-centuries. Lahiru Thirimanne was included in the Sri Lankan cricket team which won the World T20 Cricket Trophy in the year 2014. He has also represented the Sri Lankan team which won the Asian Cup one-day international cricket trophy conducted in the same year.
කට්ටමී ෆන් තමයි.
And that's a wrap on Sri Lanka's news broadcast on Sri Lanka's national news broadcaster Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. I am Siobhan Pereira signing out with Esha Inali.